Good evening, class, and welcome to the final week of the semester and our final presentation. And in this particular discussion tonight, we will be discussing human scale in relation to effective and appropriate government. And so, when appropriately defining and questioning the establishment and effectiveness of a government body in relationship to the liberties afforded to its citizens, one must invariably analyze the effects of scale in human freedom. Classically speaking, the nuances afforded to a populace based upon a broadly established centralized government are theoretically stabilizing in nature. Specifically, a larger established state holds a greater level of capability in terms of defending its citizenry from wars and outside attack based upon a larger populace by which to raise a military and greater resources. However, has often been the case in history, we find that those nations that base their stability upon a grand geographic or population scale actually thereby attain the capability to wage wars on a more prolific level and then proceed to do so. Smaller nations, while holding less regional sway in terms of trade or military prowess, are often less likely to engage in wars. Decentralization of government has often been viewed as less given to foreign or regional conflict. So, within this, we ultimately ask what is considered to be logical and responsible government in terms of human scale and demographic in relation to said government. Some would argue, and rightly so it seems, in many instances that smaller is better. Often larger forms of government are more warlike and destructive. Lewis Mumford, a noted historian of cities, has been cited as stating that the rise of nations and empires is usually accompanied by slavery and class division. By contrast, a more decentralized form of government, at least in theory, allows its citizens to maintain regional character and a more specific individual freedom. However, if one were to view the ideology of political scale through the lens of Thomas Hobbes' 1651 masterpiece Leviathan, we find a slightly different perspective. In this case, we find that Hobbes allows for a potentially globalistic order whereby civil association holds no geographic boundaries as long as the Leviathan or ruler in question maintains his ability to rule effectively. Um, One might argue ultimately that in relation to the Western ideals of freedom, the Western ideal of freedom that is afforded by democracy, the diversity of opinions helps to mold the decision-making process, thereby allowing for a grander scale of government that, in theory at least, also affords its citizens affluence and opportunity that they might otherwise not experience under a more decentralized state. Thank you, and I hope you all have an excellent evening.